Potatoes need absolutely no introduction. However, I think there are some better techniques out there to maximize your yield and really get some epic potatoes growing to feed your family and start eating as clean as possible. I'm going to show you how I plant potatoes to maximize yield based on my climate and where I am. So when it comes to growing potatoes, a Google search or a YouTube search will very quickly show you that there are hundreds, thousands, if not millions of posts and videos on how to grow potatoes. So you really shouldn't have an issue with growing them. Pretty simple, put them in the ground, let them sprout, heal them up, and that's it. However, what I have found is that pretty much everybody is saying the same thing. Let them sprout, chit your potatoes, a little bit of growth, put them either on top of or in a tiny little channel or trough, close it up. Once they sprout, leave them be, and then once they started growing about 30 centimeters, roughly a foot or so in height, then you start hilling them up so that the potatoes don't go green. And that is all perfectly fine. However, I believe that is not maximizing the potential of what the potato can do. And in front of me, you can see a pretty big pot. Now this pot is an experimental pot for me because I usually grow them in grow bags. However, in Cape Town, here in South Africa, what I'm finding with the grow bags is, firstly, we have a lot of wind. So the porous membrane of the grow bag dries out incredibly quickly. Then what you have is obviously the growth with the green, and you have the natural evaporation of moisture through the leaves. Combine natural evaporation through the leaves and a lot of evaporation through the fabric of the grow bag with the wind that we have, and then 30 to 40 degree summer temperatures, and you have a recipe for failing potatoes because they need constant moisture. They can handle a little bit, but then you're not going to get really big, fat potatoes. So I've already switched to plastic pots. They last a very long time and they keep moisture on the inside a lot better than what the bags do. In winter, however, based on our climate here in Cape Town, I will only grow in grow bags because of the amount of rain we have. That being said, we can grow potatoes year long. We can have a summer harvest and a winter harvest because our temperatures are so mild in winter. However, because of all the rain we get, you don't want to be using something like this because your potatoes will rot. However, in a grow bag, because of all the porous membrane, exposure to air, and how the water can run off, you're never going to have an issue with rotting in a grow bag like you do in a pot. So in summer in Cape Town, here in South Africa, I grow potatoes in hard plastic membrane pots to keep moisture in, and in winter I grow them in grow bags so that we can let all the moisture out, so we don't have any rotting issues with the tubers. So why I'm here and what this video is about is how to maximize your yield on potatoes using a big pot like this. And the technique I use is very, very different to the techniques that majority of people use and are told to use. In summary, if you look at the pot, I plant the potato right at the bottom over here, and I fill the pot to the top, and that's it. It takes about 3 weeks for the potato to finally emerge. So yeah, you're looking at 30 to 40 centimeters of coverage with soil, but it does make its way to the top. It doesn't get lost and all confused. It knows which way is up. So even though it's right at the bottom, it knows how to work its way up. It works its way up all the way through to the top. And then I'm going to bring you in close so you can see you start getting these beautiful little shoots. However, and this is the big difference, what I have found planting deep and covering deep is, as the potato stem grows, it sends out lateral roots, and those lateral roots then open the possibility to send out the stolons. and the stolons are what make the potatoes on the edge of those. So the more exposure you have to roots as the stem goes up, the higher the possibility of getting increased yields. I have found that by digging a little trough, filling it and mounding up doesn't give you nearly as much additional growth. It's stopping the existing growth from growing green, but it's not giving you a whole 30 to 60 centimeters of additional growth with roots that could potentially be increasing your yield. Now let's look at how you actually deep plant potatoes like I have been doing. So how you want to structure it is break the pot up into quarters. The first quarter at the bottom you want to fill with a very sandy and free draining compost, soil, whatever you have available. Then put the potato on top of that. What that means is the potato has about a quarter of the pot size to start shooting its roots out and start filling out with potatoes on the stolons that it's going to push out. Then the next half of the pot you are going to completely fill up with compost or soil. If you are using a rich compost, try and amend it with some sand just so that it's not overly gloggy and too wet, as quite rich compost can get. So amend it with a little bit of sand from the garden or river sand just to create a little bit more free draining properties within the bucket. And then what I like doing is the top quarter I filled with straw. Why I like this is it just gives the top quarter, once the roots have started shooting through, just that little bit of freedom to not carry on working so hard, but to just burst through. And as you've seen in the videos that I've shown, the roots are already spreading out inside of the straw section. So don't worry, you're not going to lose additional yield by not covering the top quarter with soil. Cover it with straw, and that's all that you need. So what I want to do is bring you in really close and show you what I mean by additional roots. If I gently open up here, you'll see down here that we already have lateral shoots, and this is right at the top of this massive pot. These lateral shoots are not even in soil. They are coming straight out into the straw, which is not very wet, incredibly porous. So I don't suspect that they will turn into much, but the fact is we're already getting lateral roots this high up in the pot. So if we're getting roots this high, you can only imagine what it looks like further down. And then obviously all the way up, we've got the addition of the stolons that are going to shoot out. And from the end of the stolon, we're then going to get the potato. We have a look at some of the other ones here. So what you'll also find when growing potatoes like this is, if you look down below, the stems that come out are incredibly thick. This is the thickness of my finger pretty much. And there's roots, there's roots. This entire stem is filled with little roots. And we're in the top quarter of the pot. We're not even near the bottom. So this is one potato that I planted. It had 3 eyes on it, and you can see it sprouted out in 3 very, very different directions. They all look incredibly healthy. They all have really healthy stems, and they're all busy putting out roots really high up. So with my videos, I always like to show you comparisons. Here are the grow bags that I was talking to you about. I really enjoy growing in them. And this is a single potato, not a seed potato. The one in the big pot is also not a seed potato, just store-bought that has sent out some shoots. This is a seed potato, it's a purple one, but that has 3 potatoes in, this is just 1. You can see they are both really healthy, and if you look at the stems coming out, they are thick and healthy. However, if I go down here and I look on the stem, I still don't see any roots. However, I have dug slightly deeper, and there are little stolons that are coming out with little tubers on the end for the potatoes. I'm just not seeing nearly as much stem root development as I am with the incredibly deep planting and the potato stem that's had to work its way up. The same with these guys. So I'm actually not even going to hill these ones up until I see any of the tubers sticking out, because I feel pretty confident that at this point, considering the growth already, how long they've been in the pots, how they've been stressed with wind and sun and all of that, that if I were to cover up the stem these extra 15 centimeters, that I'm probably not going to get any additional potatoes. So a nice comparison between deep pot planted potatoes and grow bag potatoes. Definitely going to get a nice harvest here, but not nearly as much as the big pot, which is a single one planted really deeply. So now that you've seen how this plant is performing, having been planted incredibly deep in the pot and the size of the pot, I hope you feel motivated to give this a try. Find some pots, you can get them at dumps, you can get them on really good deals. They last a very long time. Give it a go. Maybe you get the results I do, maybe you don't, but that's the whole thing with gardening. Try it, see if it works, and then we take it from there. If you enjoyed this, please give it a thumbs up. If you got any questions about this specific technique or growing potatoes, drop me a comment and I'll definitely get back to you. And then please do subscribe to my journey so that you can see what I'm trialing, what I'm doing differently, and what I'm finding to work really well in our climate compared to other climates around the world. Thanks for watching and happy growing.